Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. So today, I focused a little bit more on different aspects of the journey in terms of discovering who you are and trying to remember kind of who you are in the path. But in this day, we're going to talk a little bit about performance in relationships. This is going to tie a little bit to wearing masks and let's just say the William Shakespeare term, all the world's a stage and everyone's an actor, something to that effect. You see, I think this comes up a lot, especially with people, let's just say when you're in the dating world, but it comes up in all aspects. It comes up in aspects of when you're in work-related situations, comes up in aspects in the family relationship and the friendships as well. But we're going to talk about it specifically at this point from the romantic relationships, because I think it's important in order for us to better understand ourselves and psychology and the psychology around why people do these things. You see, when people are dating, a lot of times what happens is they don't want to be themselves. But the reality is, most of the time, the reason people don't want to be themselves is because they don't think they're good enough. They don't like themselves. And so they create a performance. In other words, I call it they have a performative relationship, meaning this is who I want to be at my core. So this is how I'm going to act. Yet I am not this person at my core because I don't believe I can be. And I'm just trying to impress you. Now, that seemed like a whole lot of something, but what does that mean exactly? Well, here's what that means. When people start dating, most of the time what they'll do is they'll present themselves in a manner that is to impress the other person and in a sense befitting of themselves in order to create the image of really who they want to present. But really what it comes down to, and I don't think most people understand it, it's who they actually want to be. You see, people don't generally, unless they're narcissistic or unless they're just trying to attain something that they haven't earned, people don't necessarily try to act like something that they don't admire or desire. Now, when you hear me say that, you're going to say, I don't understand. Why wouldn't a person want to, act or be a specific person rather than fake it in a relationship? Well, most of the time it comes down to this. Most people aren't willing to do the work required in order to be the person that they want to be. They're not willing to put in the effort to heal. They're not willing to put in the effort to grow. They're not willing to put in the effort to be the being that they choose to be on this plane. But part of that being that specific being is because that being, attracts certain experiences like certain people. And they don't want to put the work in order to attract those people. So they have a performance when they're dating. Now, this isn't tied just to, say, any one specific gender. Everyone does it until you finally do get to a point where if you've done the work and you've become the being that you choose to become, there is no reason to wear the mask then. So, for instance, when you're in a dating type of situation, I'll use myself as an example. I always tell people, hey, we're going to go out on a date. I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be who I am. I'm going to act in the ways that I normally act. There is no performance because I am who I am and I love myself. And if the relationship is truly meant to exist, truly meant to come together and grow, then who I am will be enough. And, I ask the same of the being that I'm with. Just be yourself. Because in being yourself, if you're who I'm meant to be with, that's who I'll be with. But if for some reason we just don't vibe, then we don't vibe. You see, I think most people, when they get into these situations where they start dating, what they actually do is they're actually trying to impress somebody. And the problem is that a lot of people can hold up that image. A lot of people can hold up that mask, but they can't do it forever. I think there are certain earmarks in a lot of times in relationships which allow you to see, whether you're seeing the true vision of that person. Usually it's like 6 months and then maybe a year. And then I think psychology says 2 years. The 2 year mark is the mark where, someone can only fake it for so long. And at that period, that's when you definitely see the full image of the person. The problem is that if you're in this situation where you're wearing a mask and you're trying to perform for somebody, and you understand that eventually that's going to come down and they're going to see the real you, then what's going to actually happen is a couple of things. One, you're wasting your time. Two, you're wasting their time. Three, I think most of the time when people do that, they think, well, I'll get to a point where I can hold them emotionally in a connection with me to where maybe they won't decide to back out because they've got enough time in, or maybe they've got enough empathy, compassion, and love for me that they won't leave. But that is a zero-sum game, because at the end of the day, if you are trying to represent yourself as something you just completely are not, you're not going to be in a situation where you're going to be the best version of yourself, nor where you're going to attract what is best for you. And I think it's important to understand this, and part of the reason I'm talking about this is because I really do believe in the beginning stages of a relationship, when two people are getting to know each other, that the vast majority of the time, those people truly are acting in the manner that they want to be and wish they are. So in some instances, you think maybe that there's hope that this person is going to, over time, be this person that they are presenting. But the stark reality is that is not the case most of the time. And the reason it's not the case is not because they are not capable, because in my mind, all people are capable of all things, but they have to desire to make those changes to be that person for themselves. You see, and most people, they aren't making those changes for themselves. They're making those changes for somebody else. And in making those changes for somebody else, the change will never stick because it's not ultimately for you. You see, this is the aspect that we talk about with the ego. The ego, a lot of times, is very selfish. It's all about self. It's all about self-benefit, self-edification. And if you're in a situation where changing is for somebody else but not for you, essentially what you're saying is, I see the benefit in order to keep this person, but I don't see the benefit for self. And if I don't see the benefit for self, then why would I choose to go through all that is required for me to become the being that this person wants me to be, that I presented for myself? Almost as if I've performed enough for this person, and if I performed enough and I've got them, then there's no reason for me to keep the performance up. And then also because they've decided on me, that there's no reason for me to make a change and be the version that I presented with to them in the beginning. Unfortunately, this is what keeps us stuck. This is what keeps us stuck in relationships. This is what keeps us stuck in our ability to grow. It keeps us stuck because when you're constantly trying to live a life to impress somebody else because you don't have enough love, care, and respect for self, then you're always going to be chasing. When you continue to be performative in your relationships because it's just that for that instant gratification, to fulfill that instant need, it's never going to be enough for yourself. You're never going to find yourself in a position where you truly actually change and grow because you deserve it. because you love self, because you respect self, because you know what you want. And if you're having to perform, you've never considered that the performance that you're creating for this other being is to attract something that doesn't even resonate with you. I think most people, a lot of times, initially these decisions are made because of chemistry, because of looks and things. But, when you begin to understand what you want in your life from a partner, just the image that you're existing with most of the time is never going to be enough. But what say you? How do you feel about performance in relationships? Do you think that it's a healthy thing to represent yourself in a manner which you want to be? Or do you think that it's more important to really embody who you are, love who you are, and be the being that you are meant to be? As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I am truly grateful. And until I talk to you again, peace, love, light. Hope you have the most amazing day.